Well, we're going to take it on home with this one.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Lord.
Uh-oh.
Happy belated Easter, brother.
Man, happy belated Ishtar, Astare, the god of fertility. Rabbits laying eggs.
News-Gazette show laid one on Sunday.
It's just so concept, man, of Easter and how, the pagan religions and some of the stuff that we do that we don't even question, man.
Yeah, man. He died on Friday, and 3 days later, which is a Sunday.
That was 3 days later?
That's what it say, don't it?
I'm like, well,
You the PK?
Well,
what
man,
it say?
watch this. That don't give me no kind of special card. I mean, he passed on a Friday night, and early Sunday morning he rose. That's like a day and a half, but hey.
Hey.
But the whole idea of Easter, it's amazing, the internet, man. You can Google Easter right now, and it goes into, did you? You got to check. You get a chance, just check it out. That'd be for another time,
Yeah.
But just take a good look at all the things that we celebrate that we have never even questioned at all. I mean, everything from Easter, the fertility god, Ishtar, or Stare, and how, the older men would have the little girls would, hide, and then the men would find them and go have sex with them. This is on the internet.
Yeah.
Just check it out for yourself, opposed to the Playboy bunny, Easter bunny, because they do it like a rabbit. It's amazing, and we will celebrate that without asking questions, or we won't speak out against stuff like that. Right. If that is so wrong, speak out against that in defense of what you say is the truth. And then have proof, evidence, and facts to back it up, because this is what this is.
Yeah.
Same thing with Christmas, 4th of July, Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day Massacre. If you look at all these different things, if we touch on them, then we will really save some of that $1.3 trillion that gets sucked out of our pocket every time there's a so-called holiday. They really are holidays because they're empty. They hollow days.
Right.
They're disguised as holy days, but they usually just suck money out of us. It's not that there's not a holy component to it, but what does us giving each other gifts and putting lights and stuff up all over the house have to do, what we consider to be the birth of Jesus? If I own Amarin, I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Come on, y'all, more lights. Turn them up. Turn down for what? Turn the knob on high. Wrap them around the house. So. But that's another time, man. I'm just,
Yes, Lord. Indeed. Well, like I said, News-Gazette dropped a bomb on Easter.
Say it.
Jericho Missionary Baptist Church pastor, some of his flock are at odds. What is flock? Birds? Group of birds?
Oh, Lord, have mercy. Bird of a feather. Flock. Together. Lord, have mercy.
Now, disclaimer. News-Gazette, no competition. The only paper in this, I guess, town, Daily Illini is a student-run paper on the U of I campus. Also, News-Gazette, no black employees.
None. We not qualified? We didn't apply?
I know Channel 3, I know some of the TV stations have some black anchors.
Just kind of keep the boat from moving. That makes sense.
But maybe we too busy going into sociology or athletic training and
educational policy studies.
Yeah, whatever that is, but no black editor, no black journalist, no black.
Nothing?
Nah, it's on there. You can go there and see who the editor is, assistant editor, president.
Yeah, ain't going over there.
But
we had Black Thought. You remember Black Thought?
Yeah, from the Roots, yeah.
Yeah, we had a Black Thought magazine.
Yeah, Shayla, right?
Yeah, that's right. And Jamal, I think
Coach Mo. Now they.
What's his name?
Jamal who? Jamal Matuka. Now he coaching. He done fell back in. No, Jamal the homie.
Man, he's super smart.
Yeah, Jamal
And it's
the homie.
amazing because, being in a position where you can impact children, when they're very, very, very high on the tone scale, you can really get some information in because if you're dealing with children on the athletic field and they're doing something in an athletic capacity, there's a lot of passion in there.
Yeah.
And if you're teaching somebody when they're on a very, very, very high tone scale, they retain it, opposed to sitting in a class with their head down, listening to some old boring stuff that you don't know what you're going to do anything with. He's in a perfect position in order to teach and train the youth in an area where they will look at him. They will look at him eye to eye as an authority figure, as a figure that cares, and he tell them to do something. They will try their best to do it. It's amazing because that's the role of a father. A father is one who will take you farther or further. The same thing you do with your children, same thing I do with mine. Same thing like a Verdell. I'll listen to some of the things that he say. I mean, Verdell Jones Jr.'s father.
The third's father.
The third. Yeah. And there's no coincidence, that he's in sales. Because, man, Verdell, he can sell a drowning man water. You could be choking on sand and he'll sell you some sand,
Man.
But Verdell, what he would do is, I don't care what he was working on, he would really go so deep into understanding everything is to know about it. And he would put it in such a format and it would just flow. Man, he'll have you reaching for your check. You ain't got the money in there because you'll make the money before your check is clear. So that's one of the things I really learned from, Verdell, in Dallas, and his uncle. I never forget that, Nikkei or the Magnets or something like that. And now Magnets are like global all over the place. Yeah. Everybody's talking about doing Magnets and stuff like that. But just a shout out to him, man. But just as a coach. Yeah. That's such a wonderful, you are the father, or you can help so many different young boys to go further by being in the position of a coach. Yeah. That's the only father figure that some of our, say, young black males, but some of the males have, because, black, brown, red, yellow, white, just mostly in Champaign, little black and white children who may not have a father around to teach them certain things. So I think that's good. I think that's really good. So. Yeah. So Jamal and them in Black Thought magazine, I think Dan Walker was helping out. I think he had bought it from them. But us not having our local perspective on what's going on, then that will subject us to whoever says, and that's what it is. We can come back and just like on
what's happening
as an afterthought, like, hey, what they said, So someone else will get the word out about what's going on in our community.
Right.
So
let's get to it.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the reason why I mentioned that they don't have any black representation.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about Jericho, right?
No, I'm talking about News-Gazette.
Oh, okay.
We podcasting.
Okay.
We want people to listen.
Yes, sir.
Just like they want to sell papers.
Yes, sir.
So if some legal stuff is going on, and Sunday is the most circulated day.
That's paper day.
Sales flyers.
Yes, sir. Right.
Menards, Lowe's.
Home Depot, yeah.
Myers, Walmart, Target.
Yes, sir.
Disclaimer. I only subscribe. I get the paper only on Sunday. So first, I'm going to hold my thought there.
Okay.
Jericho Missionary Baptist Church and their pastor, some of the flock are at odds. So
these are the members of the church.
Members, yeah. So
the flock.
So I made some notes. You can hear the papers. I printed it up, made some notes. So basically, some lawsuits have been filed. Shout out to Janice Mitchell, pillar of the community.
Okay.
She's been a 30-year member of Jericho Church. She got notified 4 months ago that her membership was being terminated and she'd face arrest if she ventured back on the premises.
Wow.
10 other members received similar notices by a law firm representing the church pastor, Lakeith Johnson, 3 current church trustees, and the church itself. So, basically, when you file lawsuits, I guess that becomes accessible information. News-Gazette got wind of that information. I text you on Sunday. I said I'd like to get Pastor Johnson on the show. He from Cleveland, Mississippi.
Okay, Humpback Crooked letter.
Yeah, you from Jackson area. My daddy from Greenville. 2.5 Mississippians. I grew up here, but my daddy from Greenville, Mississippi. You from about Jackson area. He from Cleveland. Cleveland is Highway 61. But I said, no, I'm not even going to contact him. One, because he did not talk to the News-Gazette, so he's not talking. And 2, we ain't, in 2 years, man, come on to the podcast, because we're going to be large like that. You going to come on. But in episode 11, maybe it was a reach.
Yes, sir.
You know, that was just how it felt. But just let me go to some points that I want to talk about. The turmoil dates back to 2014. They developed concerns about Johnson's credentials and hired a lawyer to help them investigate, according to the lawsuit. Okay, I find that interesting. Okay, based on this same article, he was hired as a pastor in 2009.
Okay.
He later led the congregation in the purchase of its current site at 1601 Bloomington Road.
Okay.
I went on the county assessors. They closed on it July of 2010 for $675,000.
Oh, okay.
So he got hired in 2009. They moved into a building in 2010. So the first the turmoil dates back to 2014.
Okay.
So he was in there for 5 years before members started questioning things. I find that kind of odd.
So you think something must have happened?
Yes, he pissed somebody off.
Yeah. Okay.
That's me. He pissed somebody off.
I mean, something had to happen in order for that to look back at a history.
Yeah.
It's kind of like forensics or, pathology. Something happens and like, wait a minute, he killed how many people? Let's take a look and see what led up to this.
Yeah.
So what led up to this? Well, first of all, what happened? What currently right now in the news, what's happening? Like, who wants to do what? If there's a group that's saying he's there, I mean, he falsified his credentials.
Falsified credentials.
And this is coming up 5 years after he's been there.
Yeah, 2014. It says the turmoil started in 2014.
Okay. 4 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what started? What's the turmoil? What are they calling turmoil?
Okay. It says
is money missing?
They're claiming money's missing. They're behind their mortgage payments.
Okay, they're behind. Who holds the mortgage? Do you know?
Busey Bank.
All right, I shop at Busey. I like Busey Bank.
Yeah.
All right, they hold the mortgage. Whose name is on title?
Jericho Missionary Baptist Church.
It's an LLC or it's a nonprofit?
On the assessor's site.
There's no name listed.
It just said Jericho Missionary Baptist Church.
Okay.
I looked at that, and I did that on purpose.
I got you.
Because I knew my brother would ask.
I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I want to know.
It said Jericho Missionary Baptist Church.
Okay.
$675,000, July 2010.
Okay, gotcha. Now,
They're
it's
tax exempt.
public information.
Tax exempt.
Okay.
Yeah, public information.
Okay. That being the case, it doesn't show who's the owner. It was the church's the owner.
Yeah, the church.
And the LLC, just like any
it protects
entity.
Individuals.
Well, it's a fictitious entity that represents, individuals.
Right.
Like Florida Roof Enterprise. If Florida Roof Enterprise is run by me, but hey, if you sue Florida Roof, okay, that's cool. We got insurance
Right.
handle that. You're not going
Right.
to take my personal stuff. It's an
Right.
entity.
Exactly.
It's acting
Exactly.
as its own fictitious entity.
Right.
So this fictitious entity is run by a board of directors.
Yeah, and that's okay. According to court documents, locks were changed twice on doors by battling factions. Disputes have continued over actions taken at 2 meetings. Payments on the church mortgage at some point fell into arrears. It says, and it mentions names. Basically, they questioning his credentials. Then it wasn't just credentials that caused a man named Holcomb in efforts to become concerned. According to the lawsuit, from 1988 to 2015, there had been regular quarterly business meetings and reports that were submitted by Holcomb, then also the church treasurer, and Danny Mitchell, then church financial secretary, with the help of church's former accounting firm, Kemper CPA Group of Champaign, the lawsuit says. But in recent years, concerns developed about management and finances of the church. The deacons' dismissals and the failures of the church to publish continued quarterly reports or equivalent reports to the members. 3 days after the 2015 suspension letters to Johnson, an emergency church meeting said to be directed by Johnson was called and resulted in the dismantling and dismissal of the deacon board, which included Holcomb, Danny Mitchell, Robert Sallee, Joe Lewis, and Leroy Bowdry, along with the dismissal of Holcomb and Mitchell from their fiscal positions and the termination of Kemper's services, according to the lawsuit. So here's my thing. I tape council meetings. Okay.
Now, can you say this part?
Yeah.
Okay.
They vote on things all the time, and members that aren't present, they pass things that when members aren't present, you just don't get to vote.
Okay. So it's a majority vote wins.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and that's an established, and that's part of the Robert's Rules of Orders, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and they are governed by that. I don't know if that's governed by it or it's just a courtesy.
yeah, I don't know.
But whatever it is, they've agreed that we vote on it. If you're not here, you just don't get a vote.
You just don't get to vote.
You don't have people getting locked out of this.
That's what I'm
council
assuming.
meetings. You don't have the same thing that's going on right now at Jericho,
Right.
where somebody can change the locks. There's a dispute over who actually owns or runs the church, who has the authority. Of course, you don't have that in the city council meetings because it's a structure. It's set up. It's bigger than any one individual, and our taxpayer money goes to take care and facilitate whatever is necessary, to help the citizens, I guess, live together peacefully in a lawful manner.
Right.
Here's an issue with this. So the law has been called into the church.
Yeah.
In 1802,
Yes, I know.
Thomas
I
Jefferson.
knew you was getting. Yes, thank you. But I was gonna bring it up if you didn't. I know exactly where you're going. Let's do it.
I'm just talking about the separation
Of church and state. Exactly.
Now it's amazing that this was 1802. But before that, let me get the year here because here it is. Black people in 2018. Listen to this now. In 2018, arguing over something that we didn't set up. Here it is. Many early immigrant groups that traveled to America to worship freely, particularly after the English Civil War. There's religious conflict between France and Germany. All right? Now, let me read what they said here. They said they included nonconformists like the Puritans, who were Protestant Christians fleeing religious persecution from the Anglican Church of England. Despite a common background, the group's views on religious tolerance were mixed, while some, such as Roger Williams of Rhode Island and William Penn of Pennsylvania, ensured the protection of religious minorities within their colonies. Others, like the Plymouth Colony and Massachusetts Bay Colony, had established churches. Now, we can go on and on and on and on. Now, the reason why we worship the way we worship is because we've never gotten past what we were not offered, but what was forced upon us upon our arrival here. We were made what our slave masters were. since we were 3/5 of a human being. Whatever your slave master was, that's what you became. So if your slave master was an atheist, you're an atheist. If he was a Christian or called himself a Christian, you were a Christian. So here it is, years and years and years after we are so-called free, we are the only group of people that still struggle to follow the religion, a way of life that was forced upon us during our oppression.
Yeah.
We are arguing and fighting over something that we do not even understand. That's why we keep having these little battles. You're going to separate the church from the state. But God is supposed to be over it all.
Yeah.
So here it is. You have a right to worship or express or freely express your religious thoughts and beliefs. And there was a wall that was invisible wall that was supposed to be built to separate the church from the state. That way the government, Congress, Constitution could not tell you how to practice what you said you believed in. So here we are, black folks, in the news, and the only newspaper that would even, we don't have a local newspaper that would even get a different perspective on it. But we're arguing over something that we really don't understand and didn't even set up.
Yeah.
So we have to take a look at that, because we have to view why we do what we do. Now, with that, we can go ahead and fast forward. We can come up to the issue of what's the system of checks and balances in the church, because it is a business. I don't care what nobody say. You have money coming in, you pay some bills, and there's something left over.
Yeah.
That's a business. Even if it's a nonprofit business. Business means how you do things.
Yeah.
So, how is it that the church is behind on the bill? And who's ultimately responsible? Because there's no man named Jericho that's got a business or a job. So somebody has to be ultimately responsible for this.
Yeah.
And when you pull the state into the church and you got money coming in, that blurred line gets pretty sharp when you start talking about if you got income, now you got to pay income tax.
Yeah.
But
they are church, so and that's on the assessors. They don't pay property taxes.
well, they don't pay property taxes, but whoever is getting a salary is their salary tax.
Yeah, it got to be. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be now.
Well, if it's
I'm
not
asking.
for profit, I don't know.
Well, even in non-for-profit, the people who work for non-for-profit, when you receive an income, you got to pay income on it. You got to pay taxes on the income that you receive.
Yeah.
They give you a W-2 or a 1099. Whatever money you make, you have to pay taxes on it. So my question is, whoever the pastor is, he receives money, or does he receive an allowance where all of his bills are paid, and his mortgage and his phone, everything that's required or necessary for him to, remain in the capacity to help to read and study and bring the word of God. That's fine.
All right. Let's and of course we don't know all that.
We don't. But just
Yeah.
we just
it
put
needs
it
to
out
be.
there.
Yeah,
The
it has to
question.
be. Yeah,
That's all. It's black coffee, no sugar, no cream.
So
you know.
let's attack his credentials or lack thereof.
Okay. What's a credential? I gotta say credential. Like what's your job description?
Right.
Like what do you do on your job?
What do you do on your job?
You
Right.
what do you do?
I'm a video producer.
Okay, so what are your credentials? So if you're applying for a job,
Yeah.
what are your credentials? You're going to apply for a job. They want to know what can you do. What do you do?
Yeah. I'm a podcaster. Nah.
Okay.
No, I got experience in camera operating, setup, sets, audio boards, video boards. Right now, I have experience with customer service. I deal with professors. I deal with students.
Okay.
So yeah, those are my credentials.
Those are your credentials from the word crederare. It means to trust.
Yeah.
Credit, like your credit report, is a picture of how you pay your bills.
Yeah.
And your job description is how you would do your job.
Yeah.
So it's quite obvious that somebody's paying you to do a good job. You're doing it well. And it's obvious that you have the credentials to do the job.
Yeah.
What are the credentials necessary
That's why I was looking forward to this.
to be in his position.
Okay.
And
I'm about to read it.
yes, sir.
He was hired as pastor at Jericho Missionary Baptist Church in 2009.
Okay.
A year later, led the congregation to purchase of his current site.
Okay.
He held positions in the Champaign School District and recently got involved. This is a key. Recently got involved to begin a charter school in the city's north side. We got to go back to that.
Oh, okay.
Got to go back to
Yeah.
that. And a lot of people ain't really talking about that.
Okay.
So we got to go back to that.
Okay,
This is going to be
okay.
a long podcast, but we got to talk about that.
Okay.
The native of Mississippi. Johnson is the son of a preacher, was licensed, ordained to preach in 1999, according to information about him on the church's website. 3 years ago, Diana Lennox, urban attorney hired by Hall, Creme, and other deacons at the time, wrote a letter outlining her efforts to verify Johnson's credentials, saying she'd been given what purports to be a certificate of license and certificate of ordination signed by 2 clergymen. One of them is deceased.
Mm-hmm.
She reported learning the son of the other spoke for his hard of hearing dad and told Lennox that at no time did his father ever witness or sign any license or certificate of ordination for a person named Lakevi C. Johnson. It goes on to say that a Missouri bishop listed by Johnson as a reference, also said he hadn't provided any credentials for Johnson, and that bishop in turn referred to her to another bishop who months later hadn't got back to her.
Mm-hmm.
They wrote him a letter. Holcomb and Danny Mitchell, then church deacon, wrote him a letter informing him he was officially suspended pending receipt of legally documented findings regarding his credentials. And then I put a note, but he was hired in 2009.
Yes.
No individual, organization, institution, school, or church, current or defunct, will validate their signature or knowledge of Lakevi C. Johnson Sr.'s credentials in reference to theological education, ministerial licensing, and ordination by any board, group, or pastors. The university Johnson said he attended, however, did verify his educational credentials. For the News-Gazette, Johnson holds a bachelor's degree in religion from Liberty University and a master's in Christian ministry leadership from Liberty's Baptist Theological Seminary, according to the institution's alumni office. Now, you a PK.
Uh-oh.
You a PK.
PK means a preacher's kid.
Yeah,
Or a pastor's kid.
pastor's kid.
Now, pastor.
It's a difference. It is a difference between preaching and pastoring.
That's right. A preacher is one who will be considered to deliver the word of God.
Yeah.
They study, they pray, they fast, they read the scriptures that they know for certainty is the word of God. And they go into it, they parse, they define the words, look them up, and help those who normally wouldn't read, don't know how to read. Because there was a time when black folks couldn't read the Bible, women couldn't read the Bible. So they would appoint certain people to read the Bible and give them an interpretation that would keep them in a certain state. The word pastor comes from the Latin word passere, which means like a pastor that a sheep will go to graze, or like a herd. So in a pasture, animals graze on grass or the roots or hay, and they grow and develop, and they just grow and develop and mature. And what a pastor does, he gives the word of God. He gives the word of God to the sheep, who grow and develop spiritually, mentally, financially, politically, socially. That's his whole job, is to help those who are underdeveloped.
Ooh, now let me piggyback off of what you just said, and it makes so much sense.
Yes, sir.
Champagne is a shithole.
Oh, Lord. You're going to put that in the same paragraph with the pastor?
Yes,
and the church
yes. And here is why. Here is why.
Lord.
Here is why. Because Mount Olive, Jericho, Pilgrim, just to name a few that have had to replace long tenured pastors. And what have they done? Ricky Parks, good man, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Mount Olive's pastor, Peoria. Lakeevy Johnson, Mississippi. So Savage, Keaton, Baker, I think, at Jericho. What you say? Where you develop and send them out
To grow and
to
develop.
grow and
That's right.
develop. And when you grow and develop,
You'll be able to see.
You'll be able to see, and we should not have to go to Arkansas, Peoria, and Mississippi
That's a
for
good-
a successor.
You know what? That's interesting because when you plant one tomato seed, it produces more than one tomato.
That's what pastors should be doing, right?
When you plant one watermelon seed, many watermelon seeds grow if that seed is put in a good soil.
Right.
Now, a pastor knows that as he's scheduled, there's a verse in the Bible talked about the parable of the sowers. This man goes out to sow seeds. He throws them all over the place.
Yeah.
Some lands on the sidewalk, some in shallow ground, some among the thorns, and some in good soil. This is just from my father and brother. You know, I've heard this for a long time, so it just kind of comes out of me, you know. So the seed that lands on the sidewalk, it cannot grow, it cannot develop because it has no roots.
Yes.
Then the seeds that's in a little shallow soil, it's going to grow so much, just a little bit, but it never produces anything. It doesn't reproduce after itself. A watermelon seed goes down, a little sprig goes up, but it's not enough root for it to produce. Then there's seed that lands among the thorns or the briars. It grows, but the thorns choke it out to keep it from producing. Then there are seeds that land in good ground. The seed is good, and the ground is good, and it produces the way it's supposed to. Some 1, some 7, some 10, some 100. So what the pastor has to do,
Come on.
the pastor has to be a good shepherd of the flock. He has to know his flock. He has to be willing to give his life for the flock. He has to be an example for the flock. And he has to share with the flock what has made him grow and develop and be successful. So the shepherd would share experiences from his life to lead, teach, and guide the flock. Not all of them will follow him, and not all of them will receive the word in the same way. So the same way that the seed goes into the ground, the word goes into the mind. There are some, once they hear the word, they're like, oh my God, man, it was wonderful, man, it was good church. What did he preach about? I don't know. Oh, but he threw down.
He
That's
was
very
hooping.
shallow. He was hooping, he was hollering, got everybody excited. What'd you learn? What scripture he come out of? What did he talk about? You can't tell it. Why? It's not so much that the word wasn't good. It's just whatever was going on with the soil and the mind. It didn't take root. You go on about your business. But there's sometimes in the same, and these are all people in the same congregation. It's not just in the so-called church. It's in every organization. When the seed goes in and it has some soil, so you hear the word and you go a little bit, but if you don't read and study for yourself, you're not going to grow and develop. And then there's some who hear the word, it sounds good, they love it, they read and study it, they begin to grow and develop, almost about to break out or have their breakthrough, and the cares of the world pull them down. They used to smoke. Now their friends that used to smoke, bring them back in. They used to drink, bring them back in. The cares of the world choke out their life, and they never grow and develop into what they were born to be. They're aimlessly wandering around trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do, when they're still attached to the old. Then there are those who, after hearing the word, it goes in good, they listen to it, they grow it and develop within themselves, and you can see the change in their lives. We can see the change in people's lives based on what they think, and how they produce. Now, the role of the church should not be fighting amongst themselves. The church is supposed to grow and develop the underdeveloped.
Yeah.
Why is it now that there's an issue with a man's credentials after you've already hired him for the job?
Point blank, period. That's one of my talking points. It should not be. It
Why
should
now?
not be up for discussion. You
Why
had
now?
a chance to question the credentials, and I don't go to church no more. You know, here's my take and what I believe happened. When churches are looking for new leadership, they bring multiple preachers in,
Okay.
and they have their Sunday.
Okay. They interview them.
Let the congregation, let the people,
Like any job, I guess.
Yeah.
Position. Okay.
and in
This is
my
good. This
in
is
my
good.
estimation, he probably set the church on fire.
He lit it up, didn't he?
He lit it up like the 4th of July.
Emotionally.
Yeah,
Fired up. Okay. And they felt good
and they wanted him.
because in order for them to feel good, they were not spiritually fed, and the grass they had been grazing on wasn't green. So he comes along, he presents a greener grass. He had to show them, he had to sell them, not sell them, but sell them on a vision.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going. I want to be the pastor of this church. Pick me. We will go here, here, and here. He may not say that, but we are an emotional people.
Yeah,
And you can get us riled up. I'm not saying that's what happened, but
Right,
you made a
exactly.
good point. Something had to happen for him to convince the church to hire or to accept him as a pastor.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I think.
And he
That's
got
what
the job.
And he got the job.
And he did the job for a week, a month,
2 months, 6 months, a
Yeah.
year, 2 years,
2
3 years, 4 years,
5 years.
5 years, and after 5 years,
After on your job right now, because we got to hit home.
Yeah.
If somebody came to you, the people that hired you come to you
people
like,
that
you know
hired
what? You don't have the credentials for this. Like, wait a minute, I'm doing it. What are you talking about? I don't have the credentials.
right, and that's probably what my man said. Like,
He's like,
how-
where is this coming
yeah,
from?
where is this coming from? How dare you?
Exactly.
How dare you? I ain't leaving.
I ain't going nowhere.
I done came all the way from Mississippi or wherever
I'm
I came.
uprooted. I done changed life. I've been here 5
Yeah.
years. I got a house. I got a family. I got this.
I
I'm
got
doing
a
this.
job in Unit 4
Yeah,
school, so
come
I'm
on.
just not coming to the office saying I need 10 people to give me $100 to pay for my salary. You know what I'm saying?
And, if the church if he sustained with the help of others, the church for 5 years, they've been there for 5 years. That says, I don't know what kind of
Right.
situation's been in, but if they've been there for a year, they were successful for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. The average marriage don't last 2 to 3 years. If you go into business, it's highly unlikely that you will fail. It's highly likely that you'll fail in the first year or
Yeah.
2 to 3 years
Yeah.
in business.
Yeah.
So for you to go 5 years, that is a degree of success.
Yeah.
I don't know him.
I don't know him either. I mean, I've met him, but I don't know him. I don't attend church.
You say it like you're proud. But anyway,
I am, based on this.
that's fine. Each his own, that's good. I'm saying that because I listen to church on my on my phone. I listen to my brother in Mount Vernon in Indianapolis.
Okay.
I listen to Joel Osteen.
This is why I wanted to talk about this, because I knew your perspective was going to be awesome.
I don't know about awesome.
Yes.
I just know that I have not given up on the church
That's what
as much as
yes.
I don't put stock into this man telling me what he sees when I know how to read and write myself.
Okay, I got you. And
I do believe that anyone can be questioned on what they do.
okay,
And
now, I like this.
If he's doing something that's outside of what he's supposed to do, go to him, like Tony Braxton said, just be a man about it.
Just be a man
Or
about
a
it.
woman
Or a
about
woman,
it.
yeah.
Man, a woman,
Yeah.
a man with a womb. Okay. So be a respectable person. Go to this person and say, listen. Because first the person has to do something over a protracted period of time in order for you to even question them. Like, okay, you know what? We missed the mortgage. What's going on?
Right. And that is fair.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Okay. So he should have the reason is, whatever he says, like, okay, this is how much money we brought in. We don't have enough money to pay the mortgage. Okay. Is this the first mortgage we missed? Open the books. We need an audit. an internal audit. The members of the church. Churches have to have business meetings. Why? They're investing their money in the growth and development of the church. You have a right to say where your money goes.
Yeah.
So whenever I pay my tax, I have a right to say, hey, y'all need to get that pothole fixed. Why? Because I help pay for that.
Yeah.
Y'all need to go ahead and get on that. Why?
Yeah.
Because you work for me. Why? I'm paying your salary.
Right.
So don't get no attitude with me. I just gave y'all a raise.
I'm
Depending
calling
on how you
you.
look,
Right.
depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, I'm calling you. Yeah.
But in fairness, you ask the pastor, well, or whoever controls the finance in the church, the trustees or the financial committee, we missed the payment. Okay, it takes 30 days to have a late payment. Go on the credit report. After 16 days, there's a late fee. But after 30 days, it's reported late. So you knew we didn't have the money to pay this mortgage. Whoever pays it, they should be good stewards of the church's money. If you know we don't have the money, we can raise a collection to come up with the money so we won't put the church in jeopardy. We won't waste these 5 years that we've been taking care of this. I can understand there's some concern if the bills are not being paid. I don't, however, see the rationale in saying he does not have the credentials after he already has the job for 5 years. That part, I do not understand.
Yeah.
If he's late on the bills or whomever is taking care of that, that has to be investigated.
Yeah.
And there has to be some transparency there. Because if you pay your money, you have a right to question where your money's going.
Yeah. 100%.
So what's the argument? Because by the time people get a lawyer, they've reached the point where they can no longer sit as fellow believers talking across to each other in a civilized manner. So before it goes to blows, they get their own independent lawyer, and they actually invite the state into the church.
Now, here's my thing. We have many churches in this community, black churches.
Yes, sir.
If they are unhappy, if they don't want to follow that leadership, why don't they just go somewhere else?
Because they have invested. They're there, their family's there, that's where they pay their tithes, that's where they come sweep, mop, dinners. They're not church. We're waking up. We're not the same old slaves where slave master picks somebody to go out there and hoop and holler and say a couple of things and we jump up and down. We're questioning things now.
Okay.
Black folks are not as asleep as we used to do. We're not dreaming and just, well, whatever the pastor say, it must be true. He a man of God. We don't do that like that anymore. There used to be a time when you have a whole lot of young folks in the church, in the choir, BTU, Sunday school, all of that because there was always something for them to do. Whether they understood it or not, it was recreation, it was fun, it was something to do. Now, when you look at the church,
speaking about yourself, ain't you?
yeah, oh yeah, there's always something to do, man. BYPU, man, Old Testament, 39 books in the Old, 27 in the New. We had to run them all, man. And it was fun for us, And when it was Easter time, all we knew was we getting dressed up, Easter egg hunt. We're gonna find somebody to feel on them and kiss them. We knew that's what it was.
Black coffee.
I mean, that's what it was. We just had fun.
Yeah.
We didn't question it. We didn't have an internet. We didn't have a Google. We couldn't get Google with it where we can Google, like, wait a minute, what is Easter? We were not asking these different questions, When Christmas came around, we knew we were going to get something. Birthday came around, we were going to get something. Valentine's Day, you find somebody you like. Do you like me? Yes or no? Yes, no, maybe. Circle one. It was just part of the culture we grew up in. But we are growing out of ignorance. We are asking questions now. So you can't just say something and we believe it anymore. It's not working out like that.
Yeah.
That's why the church, all organizations, I don't care what it is, church, mosque, synagogue, I don't care what it is, losing the youth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're losing the youth. Why? Because you can't even explain some of the things that you do.
I got a cousin active in the church I belong to, active. Announcements. So I get a call a couple of Fridays ago from my mama. Yeah, such and such done left Salem. I say it's Salem. Huh?
Don't mention your name now.
Yeah, I was like, huh? Why? Well, I said, maybe she ain't getting fed.
And you know that's one of the number one reasons the flock leaves the pasture. They've grazed on this land. There's nothing fresh. There's nothing new. And the only thing that's keeping them inside that same field is a fence. If there's no fence, they'll go to greener pastures.
Yeah.
So one of the number one reasons that people leave or church hop, or they call church jockeys, they go from church to church to church, they're looking for a spiritual home. And since we've never had any other alternatives, all we know is church, this church or that church, this church or that church. And when you begin to explore other things, you know, like a mosque, like, man, why y'all over there, man? You ain't with Jesus? Wait a minute. You've been to 3 different churches in 4 different years.
Right. And no disrespect, some of these names mentioned in these lawsuits, I know for a fact have been in different churches.
Don't say it. Don't say the names. Don't say the names.
You know a couple of them. You've cut some heads.
What?
But you ain't cut hair in years.
That's right.
Full time, so
That's right.
that ain't gonna give none of them away. But no. So but it wasn't true. My cousin didn't leave.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I said, you need to understand what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my phone blowing up because the rumor. But you got to understand, you pretty much letting it be known indirectly that you may not be feeding the flock.
When the flock is fed and properly taken care of, there's no reason to leave. There's always a reason for something.
Yeah.
If you keep the grass where it's supposed to be, and you're sharing whatever wealth you get back with the flock. See, the shepherd shears, you mentioned cutting hair.
Yeah.
The shepherd provides the grass for the sheep. The sheep graze, and the sheep is protected by the shepherd. When the sheep begins to grow in the wool, the shepherd comes with his 76ers, clippers.
Oh yeah, that's them big boys.
And he cuts the wool off of the sheep. He uses that wool from the sheep, takes it to the market, sell it to buy more pasture, more land, so they can graze better. So the pastor's job is to keep expanding from what he gets from the sheep to take care of the sheep. So a good pastor, as he grows, the church grows, the flock grows, and they grow and develop, and he protects the flock. He keeps the wolves out. He keeps the hypocrites out. And he empowers the sheep and the people into knowing how to protect themselves by doing what? Teaching them what he knows. He doesn't want them on him like a slave. He wants them to grow and develop and teach and train them, because right now, if something happens to the shepherd, if there's not a system in place that's bigger than the shepherd, then all the sheep will die once they eat whatever they have that's available. So systems have to be in place.
In place, and they're not.
So even right now, if the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan left, there's already a system in place.
Yeah, light skin.
To keep things going. Not a person.
Yeah,
But there are systems
Yeah, I got you.
in place.
Yeah, there are.
In the United States of America right now, if something happened with Donald Trump, the whole system doesn't shut down.
No, it doesn't.
There's a system in place where there's somebody else next who's going to continue on with the Constitution that's set up by the United States of America. The United Nation of Islam, we have a constitution. Churches have constitutions. Why? Because the church is bigger than one person.
Yeah.
So if something happens with Bishop Long, the church still goes on. You don't hand it off to your wife. You don't hand it off to your children. This is not like the Queen of England, where it stays in the bloodline unless they are there in the capacity to help the organization, not just because it's the bloodline, but when you get started, sometimes that's the only people that'll help you get started. It's the people in your family.
Yeah.
But it grows beyond that. And somebody more qualified will come along that'll do a better job than your blood.
Yeah.
So no one is bigger than the organization. No one organ is bigger than the organism. As important as your heart is, your toenail if they got into an argument right now, your heart can say, well, I'm the heart. I'm more important because I keep blood running all over the place. All you do, you just a toenail. You let somebody get a pair of pliers and snatch that toenail, you'll have a heart attack. So everything has a part to play in the body.
Yeah.
So what's going to become of this?
I don't know, but I did want to come back to
You think we can get an interview with the, what's the brother's name?
Lakeith Johnson.
Yeah, you think we can get him on?
We could.
Or, what's her name?
Janice Mitchell. Or
Somebody.
Somebody.
Reach out to both of them. They can be right here.
No, I don't want that.
Why not?
They fighting in court.
Well,
I ain't trying to be, well,
black coffee.
no sugar, no cream.
What's wrong with us bringing our brothers and sisters together in a spirit of atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility so that we won't air our dirty laundry in the court? What white church?
It's too late. Okay, come
you
on. Because I wanted to talk about this because it's so much to unpack. And, people's like, the News-Gazette is wrong. It's like, no.
How are they wrong?
It's called, if we playing basketball, this is called an alley-oop. They threw the News-Gazette the alley, and the News-Gazette just dunked it. And the dunk was so thunderous, they printed it on Easter Sunday.
Wow. Now see, that's tall. That's super tall because Easter is one of the biggest events that goes on in the church.
Yeah.
I mean, no other organization in Champaign is going to have the same impact as the church.
Yes.
That's the Easter. That's the risen, So
that's why
you can't blame them because that's what they do.
you can't blame them. And
The
they
same
don't
way
have,
you can't blame Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream for talking about something that if we didn't know about it, if y'all didn't let it get out.
Yeah.
We wasn't looking through the window with our hands on the side like this.
Nah. And so coming back to the News-Gazette and why I said he also got involved with the efforts to begin a charter school on the city's north side.
Mm-hmm.
The charter school is government funded. Is government funded,
Okay.
but they sat before the board and had a proposal. Basically, our African American, our black kids, 54% of them are reading below grade level.
Wow.
So
That's a high number.
yeah, more than half. So
54%.
54. So they're pretty much saying, give us our kids. Give us a number of our kids. We'll go ahead and be responsible for teaching them what they need.
Okay.
We'll put the school not too far from the Love Corner,
Okay.
and we'll bear the grunt of getting our black kids at or above grade level.
Wow.
But we need some of this money that the state is giving you,
Which is our money.
which is our money,
Yeah, that's part of our money. Yeah.
to do it.
Okay. Well,
So-
and how's that going?
They did the proposal. I got to follow up.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay.
he's on that.
That
So-
says a lot about him already.
Yeah.
For a black man to come do something in a town he didn't grow up in,
Yeah.
that says something about us who are here, who see it, either don't care or don't know what to do, or too busy doing something else. For him to come, recognize something needs to be done, and then start doing something. How long has he been here?
Probably since
5
9,
years?
Yeah.
Let's say he's been here
9
5
years.
Let's say 9 years. He's been here for 9 years.
Yeah.
It's amazing because there's some of us who've been here for generations.
Yeah. Including you're looking at one.
Been here for generations.
Yeah.
But for him to come, to see a need, and begin to go to work to fulfill a need, I mean, all things work together for good. For all those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose, his righteous purpose. So it doesn't matter who does it, but whoever does it, we are obligated to help him. in whatever capacity, because if we don't help the so-called underprivileged children, they're going to influence ours.
Yeah.
And if one is underprivileged, all of our children are underprivileged because we're all tied in together. Because if we get pulled over, we're not asked to see, hey, let me see your license registration, and I need to know if your children are underprivileged. I need to know if you're a Christian. I need to know if you're a Muslim. I need to know your religious background. None of that. So we have to take responsibility. And if someone comes along to shame us into doing something that we know we should have done, we are obligated to help them. And it will be met with opposition, and not necessarily from white people or people outside of our community. We were here, maybe. Who does he think he is coming here and doing all of this stuff? He could say, well, what are y'all doing? Tell me what you're doing to help the situation, and I will help you. Let's look at both plans. You show me your plan for our youth, I show you mine, and whatever one is the best, let's go with that one. But show me why yours is the best. Or show me why you think mine is not the best, and we can improve on both of them. The goal is the children.
And I
would like to talk to him. I would like to meet him, and I would like to, know, what are your plans?
And he's also Centennial's football coach.
And that's still another good position for him to be in a position where he talks with young males. That's, to me, anybody that would take on that kind of role, that's a wonderful position of leadership. And that's a good sacrifice for you to make, to give up, your time to help somebody that's not necessarily in your biological line. It's not in your gene.
Do you think that time is causing a conflict with the members? These members that's named in this lawsuit, they're not they're, I would say, some of the names are at least 50 plus. I just, to me, I would think somebody might have an issue with the hats that he's wearing.
Like a conflict of interest?
Yeah.
That's interesting because, when the children, it's amazing him being a preacher and a pastor. It's amazing because when Jesus was teaching, the children were trying to run up and, I guess so-called by the disciples was trying to keep the children away from Jesus. Like, leave him alone. He's busy, he's teaching. And Jesus said, forbid them not. Like, leave them alone. Let them come unto me, for such is the kingdom. So whereas one group of people may be telling the children, well, y'all, they don't have anything for them to do, or y'all go over here, we busy doing this kind of stuff. They're not involving the children in the structure of the church, in the finances, how it's run, how to pray, how to study, how to look up words, how to understand the Bible, how to have a stronger connection with Jesus. If you don't work with the youth, then you lose them. Now, here it is, a black man. He black, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is, a black man that's working with one of the most challenging groups to work with in the United States of America, and that's young black males. For him to work with the educational system that is one of the worst educational systems in all the industrialized nations, and for him to deal with the most brain-dead people on the planet Earth is black folks in America. And I say that because we have lost our name, our language, our religion, our culture. We've lost everything of who and what we are. We've embraced somebody else's. And for this man to come along and want to make changes, he will be met with some of the same opposition that Jesus was met with. He can expect to be persecuted. He can expect to be evil thought of. He can expect for those who around here who could have done something and didn't to say something and to have whisperings that who does he think he is. He can expect that. And if he doesn't expect that, he is not the right person for this job. But for him to push forward, in spite of all of this, he's like the blade of grass that's coming up through the concrete. He's not going to let anything stop him. But he can expect that. But what he could do is ask those who have an opposition to him is, okay, you don't like what I'm doing? What are your plans? What have you done with your children? People can ask you that.
And don't say, well, we've been doing it this way for you.
Okay, how's that going?
Yeah.
Hey, you think we ought to continue that? So you can ask, you can help
You
them
can-
see their
yeah.
question with a question. Like, man, we never did it like that before. So, okay, ask them, do you know the definition of insanity?
Right. Yeah.
Doing the exact same thing,
over and over, expecting different results.
expecting a different result. So, a different result. So you're expecting a different result, but you're not willing to make any changes. So I'm making changes, and this is the outcome. This is my expected outcome.
Right.
Good example. What's the product that Lil V
Keto.
Huh?
Keto.
The keto. Well, with the keto system, he's expecting different results from what others have tried. He has proof, evidence, facts to back up his claim, which proves he's not insane.
Right.
He's not insane. He's expecting different results, so he's doing something different. And if it's proven that it works, it sells itself. All he can do is remove himself out of the way, present it, show personal testimonies that it works, boom, different results. So how many PKs grew up in the church that's still in the church? Unless they've gone to be preachers or deacons or some position in the church, very few of them will still be there. Very few.
Yeah.
PKs were considered some of the worst.
Yeah. I got a set of cousins.
They call you doing the most.
PKs. The daddy was a PK and the mama was a teacher. Now you know them the worst. They say them the worst. Them my people. Shout out Brina, Vet, Jack,
Don't mention their name.
Jarvis.
Man, hey.
They need to listen. They ain't in Champagne.
Listen, PKs are no different than anybody else. It's just we have a brighter light on us. People have a higher expectation for us. We do the same thing because we in the world. And sometimes we're of the world.
Them my peoples.
We do the same thing everybody else do. It's just that we have a brighter light shining on us because we're usually in a stage-like position with the lights on us. So it looks like we worse because you see more of what we do. You don't see more of what somebody else is doing.
Man, this
So black coffee,
no sugar, no cream.
no sugar, no cream.
So look, there is no moral to the story.
Just keep it moving.
Bottom line is,
it keeps moving.
you know, News-Gazette. One thing I will say is if you trying to stunt this charter school and trying to air it out because of that, that's foul. But other than that, they threw you the alley, you dunked it like LeBron. You know, we cannot blame the News-Gazette for printing it. This is public information.
It's public information. You made it public.
You made it public by involving.
And it's public information. Anything that has to do with land, it's public. You can look up who pays the taxes on your house or somebody else's house. You can see who owns it. You can see. It's all public information.
I do it all the time.
You can look it up. If somebody say they own a house, guess what? Look it
Get
up.
the street.
Look it up.
Look it up.
You can look up the person's name and bloop, it'll show you
In
all the
Chicago,
property they
you know,
own.
in Cook County, how deep it is. They tell you the bank that holds the deed. They don't do that here.
Wow.
They give you a picture of the crib,
Wow.
the person that's on the deed, and the bank. If you still paying on the crib,
Wow.
they will give you the bank.
Wow.
But it's tougher though because you have to you might have to find the PIN
number.
Yeah, you can't just you know
property identification.
Yeah,
or
you get
number.
but if you find it, you get everything in Cook County now.
That does make sense because if you ride by a house that's abandoned, you can look up the address. It shows you who the last tax bill went to. You can call that person and see if they want to sell the house.
Yeah,
there are databases there are
you can
companies
just
that
go
put them
over.
together.
Yeah, you can just go there.
Yes, sir.
You may not be able to do it on the computer at your crib, but you can go to the assessor's office and find out if they ain't paying it. Yeah,
That's right. You certainly can. You can see it.
So yeah, we'll just.
It's good information, man.
Yeah,
you
we'll
bring
just
bring good content, and it
man.
feels good to be back.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing. You know, I had a quote from the great hip hop philosopher David Banner, another Mississippi person.
Humpback crooked letter.
He said, "Show me how your religion works in real time."
Wow.
Quoting scriptures that comes from a book that your people wrote means nothing. That's like me telling you something and quoting Mississippi, the album. That's his first album. I believe God has been showing us that we made a wrong turn, but we won't listen.
Wow. Who's this?
David Banner.
The Hulk?
Not the Hulk, but pretty much.
You know David Banner was the Hulk. Man.
Yeah.
Lou Ferrigno.
But David Banner is a hip-hop rapper from Jackson, Mississippi.
He is?
Yeah.
I lived in Jackson.
David Banner. That's what he tweeted, I think, on Easter.
Wow. David Banner?
David Banner. Put rapper David Banner.
David.
He said, I'm going to read it again.
Wow.
Show me how your religion works in real time. Quoting scriptures that come from a book that your people wrote means nothing. That is like me telling you something and quoting Mississippi, the album. I believe God has been showing us that we made a wrong turn, but we won't listen.
Wow. Now, it's interesting, and at some point in time, it'd be good to talk about the hip-hop community, because our children are not listening to the preachers, the pastors, the imams, all this other kind. They listening to the rap, and rap is becoming more and more conscious.
Yeah.
You know, we went to a period where, it was very, very conscious. Then it became controversy, and then it was killings over words, raps, bands broken up. But rap is becoming more and more conscious now.
Yeah.
And then since we're doing our own producing, we're doing our own everything, we can control the content.
Yeah.
Like Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream. We decide what we're going to talk about. That's one of the most powerful things you can have here. And I appreciate the freedom of expression that I, will not take for granted in living in America. We have freedom of speech. We have freedom of expression. We have freedom of religion. And I'm not going to be denied those freedoms because we pay a price for that. So don't ask me to go nowhere. I ain't going no damn. I'm staying right here, R-A-T. I'm staying right here. I ain't going nowhere. But I'm going to make where I am better. And if something else comes along, I'll make that better. So, but right now, we have to make our own communities decent places to live. We have to educate. We have to train and teach our people, not to be a target for the police, not to be a target for this, not to kill each other, But we got to have an economic base, man. When children don't have jobs, come on, man.
Yeah.
They don't have opportunity to jobs. You go to school, get your degree. You got to go ask somebody that's outside of your people for a job. They're going to give their children jobs first, which is fine. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. Man, if my white neighbor gave his son a job first, amen. There's nothing wrong with that. I have to provide something for mine. And I thank God that one day our children will be in a better position where they don't have to worry about no finances. They can focus on doing something they really love to do.
That's real talk. And that was the other thing, and you really helped me just kind of with this topic, because I'm coming in thinking, man, these people hiring all these attorneys but they can't even lead us to their kids.
They can't leave it to them.
That's right. And then I was like, okay, well, if you don't like, that's just like somebody said, if you don't like Champagne, leave. And it's just like, well, if you don't like what's going on in this church, leave. But you said they're invested.
And invested. Right now, if you don't like your job, you leave, guess what? You want to take what you have vested in your 401k. You've invested that. Yeah. So when you tell somebody to leave the church, okay, am I going to leave with what I have invested? Or you just want me to leave and be quiet? So you got a fight on your hands. You will fight for it. It ain't like Enron. If right now, if you were asked to leave, I need to get that. I need my money that I done put up, that y'all have invested my money to make more money. I need my money. So when you retire or whatever you decide to do, and if you leave or roll that over, you want the money you've invested to go. Same thing with black folks in America. It's not going to leave. Are you crazy? Are you on medicinal marijuana? Are you on shrooms? You taking the
you on crack?
Are you smoking it? You got the liquid, you got solid, you got the gas, you got all forms of matter coming in. You somebody rubbing this stuff on your back. We ain't going nowhere, and we ain't going nowhere without something.
Man, brother, thank you for that.
You gonna drop me off in the middle of a country with nothing? Are you crazy?
Man.
That's not fair to them.
Yeah, that's
Ain't going nowhere. Man, we right here.
Yeah.
Ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
No.
That's deep.
Ain't going nowhere. I ain't leaving Champaign. My taxpayer money has helped to fix the roads, the streets, the lights, all that kind of stuff. I have invested in Champaign.
So when I say it's a shithole, don't tell me to leave.
I ain't going nowhere.
I ain't going nowhere.
And you can call it what you want.
Call it what you want.
We can make it better, but I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah,
That's your little thing. Here I invested all this stuff in here, my time, my energy, my intellectual property, in helping to grow this place.
And telling me I can't say something when I've been here to identify that parts of it is a shithole.
That's right. It need to be changed.
Yeah.
Let's change it. Like Minister Farrakhan's CD said, let's change the world. We'll talk about that another time, but you know, make better where you live. That's why whenever we talk about something, let's bring it home to Champaign. How are we going to make Champaign? Okay, I feel for the people in Houston. I feel for the people in Florida. I feel for the people in Chicago. I feel for the people in Mississippi. But hey, I'm concerned right now of where I currently live. Why? I got to put my mask on first. Champaign need a mask.
Yeah.
We breathing good. Then we can branch off to Brand 2. We can go to the tube box. Yeah. We can move on down to PLB or PBL. And we can go on up. But
well, you be on that 57. You probably know all the signs.
Yes,
oh, Narga.
Oh, yes, sir.
Gilman.
Everything.
Man.
I've been all up, man. Paxton. Melvin. You name it.
Yeah,
Madison. Kankakee. All of them.
Shout out to Maurice, man. I swear I've been making that trip for years, man. And me and Maurice stopped at the stop in Buckley once. If you know 57, you know what's
272.
Off, you know what's off the expressway in Buckley.
That's the adult.
Yeah, just say adult.
That's for the adults only, y'all. Ain't no bathroom, ain't no stores. There's nothing there but the Lions.
We did that one time, yeah, man. Shout out to Reese, man. But
Reese T, talking about the human epistle?
Human epistle, man.
Don't he have a show coming up?
Man, he do. He ain't answering his phone. I hope he okay.
He's okay. Hey, let us know about that show. So
he was on Facebook. Yeah, he was on Facebook today. Okay. So, yeah.
Hey, my squad outside, man. They done wait. We came back from Chicago just for this. We just got back. I mean, just got back. You know, when ran right on in here. So,
hey, well,
it's worth it.
Man, love.
It's worth it. I love it. It's a super good show, too. It's a super good show.
I'm going to break this up because it's a long one. So I'm going to break this up into pieces on the topics.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't want to listen to the whole 3 hours, I'm going to break it up.
It's 3 hours?
Yeah, we've been here 3 hours.
I got to get out of here.
But I need you one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Till next time, peace be unto you, and in the Arabic language.
In our original language, assalamu alaikum.
All right. We out.
We out. Peace.
Black coffee, no sugar, no cream pod. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream podcast.